In this episode of the Swearwolves podcast, I give a list of a bunch of things I hate, some things that I love, and David and I discuss and review the 2011 film Scream 4.
We'll begin with a reign of terror. A few murders here and there.
Welcome back to the Swearwolves. I'm Brett.
I'm David.
David.
Yes, Brett.
How are you, my friend?
I'm doing all right. I'm barefoot.
Well, that
actually.
makes one of us. That
Oh, yeah?
makes one of us, you fucker. We are recording this actually off cycle.
This is a first for us. It's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday. Yeah, it's midweek. It's a
Hump
midweek
day.
recording. It's hump day. Yeah. And not that this has anything to do with me being in a bad mood. I'm just in a bad mood because I'm in a fucking bad mood.
Oh, shit.
And
It's gonna
some
be
shit happened.
a dark
And
episode.
I wrote down a list of things I fucking hate.
What happened
and
to your
I-
New Year's resolution?
Well,
You're like, fuck
I
that.
also wrote down a list of things I love so I can
Oh.
kind of combat the things that I hate.
Okay.
Okay? So I'm just going to start with the things I fucking hate, and then
it.
I'll close with things I love because then it'll be like, then I'll calm down and then we can get into reviewing
Serenity
the movie that
now.
we're... Exactly. And you, not that you're the cause of this, but you have some input in on one of these fucking things that I hate.
Okay, I think I know where this is going.
I hate fucking conventions that go to great lengths. Okay, listen. Okay, time out. Reverse this. I understand that this is like first world problems. Okay, so I don't need anybody commenting out there like, "Oh, your convention didn't have the person that you wanted to sign your fucking poster."
Poor baby. Well,
Yeah.
let me change your
wah,
diaper.
wah. Meanwhile, I know 41,000 fucking people have died in Syria or Turkey or whatever the fuck the earthquake.
earthquake.
I know there's a
Awful.
war going on in Ukraine. I know that there's poverty. I know that there's racism. I know that there's all this fucking shit going on in the world, okay?
Right.
I'm just telling you my truth. Right now, this second. I hate all that
on a
stuff.
Wednesday.
On a Wednesday. I hate all that stuff too, more than I hate anything that I'm about ready to say. I hate that people die. I hate that people get sick. I hate that people are poor. But I also fucking hate conventions that go to great lengths to announce guests on their fucking social media. Oh, so-and-so is going to be at our show. So-and-so is going to be at our show. Da-da-da-da-da. And then when that person has to cancel, and I understand people have to cancel, and I don't care that they have to cancel. I don't hate that.
Yeah, these are real people with lives, and most of them have jobs, like
Yeah.
acting jobs. Things come up.
Yeah. Yeah,
Life
that's
happens.
good.
They got to cancel sometimes.
I want them to go
No big
cancel.
deal.
I want them to cancel because that means they're getting more work and they're doing more stuff. That's great for them. But when they do cancel, do the right thing and announce to the world that this person is no longer going to be at this show.
Testify. Yes. 100%. Yes.
And I don't know if you want me to go into specifics on this
It
or if
doesn't
you want to
matter.
go into specifics.
I mean, I don't know about, well, sure, why not? There's a convention that, if you listen to a previous episode, I've actually already gone to it. I haven't yet. I'm leaving in a couple of days to go to Las Vegas for Days of the Dead, where Rose McGowan was kind of the headliner and was featured very prominently on all their advertising, on their social media, front and center on their banner, all that stuff. Well, Rose had to cancel. It happens. And
well.
how I found out was I just happened to be on their website scrolling and noticed that her picture moved, like in the guest list. She got moved all the way down to the bottom where they have all the canceled people. And I was like, shit. So then I go over to the social media and I was like, well, that's weird. They haven't said anything about it. So did she cancel? And then meanwhile, they're posting updates about other people that are now coming to the show. And it's like, hey, you going to say anything about Rose McGowan? Crickets. And then people were replying to me and were like, Rose McGowan canceled? And I was like,
Yeah, nobody knew.
And they're like,
Because
how do you
not
know?
everybody
Yeah.
obsessively checks the fucking website like David does.
Exactly. And people were sending me DMs, like asking me, like, are you an insider? Like, do you know her? Like, how do you know this is happening? I'm like, it's on their website. They just haven't, they've made a conscious decision to not say anything about it on social media, which is pretty fucked up. And
But then
I got
what
even-
did they do, David? What did they do?
They replied to one of my comments saying, did we not handle this right?
Yeah, they
So
were like, oh,
I
did we not
started-
cancel her correctly?
Yeah, so I started typing up the world's snarkiest answer, and it was pretty good. And then I stopped. I was like, you know what? I don't know about putting you on blast on your own Facebook page is going to be constructive. I'm gonna send you a DM with my thoughts. So I did that. So last night I sent them a pretty good message of here's why I think you handled it incorrectly. Here's what I think you should have done. And if I were you, these are the things I would do as a result of it. You can take the advice or leave it, but you did not handle it correctly at all.
Yeah. And did they respond?
Not yet. As of right now, they have not. I sent that last night.
Them.
But Rose McGowan is still on their banner, like front and center.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Exactly. And she's not going to be there.
Nope.
And I'm not saying, again, I want to preface this. I understand that she has to cancel for work reasons, for health reasons, for whatever reasons. I've gone to plenty of shows where plenty of people have
the reasons
had
don't
to
even
cancel.
matter. Maybe she doesn't want to go. That's fine too.
Yeah. And the reason doesn't matter. I've gone to shows where it's been like the day before they're like, oh, hey, fucking
Richard Masser has COVID.
Richard Masser has COVID and he can't go. And it's like, oh, fuck, well, that sucked.
Oh, yeah, get well, buddy.
But what that does, and the reason why I hate it, is because now these Days of the Dead fucks look like they're trying to hide something. They look like they're trying to get one over on the general public. And if people aren't like David or myself, where they go on the website and they're just checking. Now, the reason why we go on the website is because Days of the Dead, they also fucking suck at social media. They suck at social media and they suck at their website. And they'll put people on there that they won't ever announce. Or they'll announce people and they won't be on their website. So it's kind of like you're just going on there to like, oh, I'm going to check this. We have our routine that we check, especially when a show that we're going to is coming up.
Yeah, I'm refreshing every day, sometimes more than once.
Yeah, because you want to prepare for it. Because as people that collect stuff and go there to get signatures on stuff that we collect, we want to know what to bring.
Yeah.
Right?
And budget. Like, this shit ain't cheap.
No. And especially for like a headliner type person, you're like, okay, well, I got to bring this, and this, because I don't know when the next time I'm going to see her is.
Yeah, and you make a good point. I even said in my message last night, I was like, hey, I'm not saying that you were trying to, like, hide it or do anything shady, but that's how it appears. Like, from a PR perspective, like, it doesn't look good. It's not a good look. Yeah. You should just own it.
And they're trying to hide it.
Yeah, and people
they're trying to hide it because they want people to still come, because they're afraid that if they say it, that people aren't going to show up to their fucking stupid show. So fuck them. Fuck Days of the Dead. They can fucking get a fucking wart from a frog. Is that
on their perineum?
Frogs? Yeah, on their fucking taint. They can take a fucking toad and shove it up their ass and get warts all over their fucking taint.
God damn. Let the hate flow through you, Anakin. What else you got?
All right. Well, you know what else I hate, David? I hate driving. That's the end of that one. That's one thing.
Why can't we travel through tubes?
I just fucking hate driving. I hate driving so much. I go out and I drive. And it's not that I hate the act of driving, because I actually quite enjoy driving. And I fancy myself a pretty good driver.
You hate drivers?
What I hate is other drivers.
Yeah.
And not even the bad drivers. The bad drivers, they're okay. It's these people, well, they're still bad, but they're trying to be nice. So they'll wave you through when it's like, no, that's not how the fucking law works, okay? You don't just wave me through. You're not a police officer. You're not a fucking traffic cop. You're not the one to wave me through. Yeah. I'm at a stop sign. You don't have a stop sign. You should not wave me through.
You go on your merry little way.
Yeah, I understand that you're trying to be nice. So I told my wife, I said, the next time a motherfucker waves me through, I'm flipping him off. I don't give a fuck. These people around my town, they want to wave you through. Oh, no, you go ahead. You go first. It's like, why? What the fuck is this accomplishing? It's just confusing me at this point.
You're going to pull out and they're going to T-bone you.
Whatever. And then they're going to be like, oh, it's his fault. He ran the fucking stop sign.
Exactly. It's all a big insurance scam.
You know what else I hate, David?
What else you hate?
People that suck.
Oh, yeah, that's a given.
And I don't just mean like, oh, you suck as a person. I hate those people, right? Like Sarah Huckabee Sanders. She sucks as a person. All right. I hate her.
Yeah. Garbage humans.
Yes. But I hate people that suck. Their lives suck. Okay. Their lives suck So they go online and they try to be something that they're not. And they try to get attention. And they're like, oh, look at me. I'm online. And they're ruining fucking social media because they go online and they spew their hate and their rhetoric and their bullshit on one end. Or on the other end, they're like, oh, I'm so fucking cool. No, you're not, nerd. You're a fucking loser. You always will be a loser. You always have been a loser. Don't go online and develop this fucking Second Life persona. All right? Just be yourself. People will like you if you're yourself. I know you're a loser, but people will like you. Losers like losers.
Work on yourself. If you don't want to be a loser, then be the change, as they say.
I see these people post online, on social media, on wherever the fuck, TikTok. You get sucked down these fucking rabbit holes in TikTok. I fucking hate TikTok so much, but I love it so much. I gotta delete the app because I get stuck in there. I'm on it and I'm just scrolling.
Just
and I'm
doom
like,
scrolling.
Video. Oh my god, it's
getting angrier.
Oh, the blood's boiling. The blood pressure is going up. I got
the vein in the side of the head. The temple starts throbbing.
My vein comes out right here, right here in the middle of my forehead. I get this fucking vein, but it's about ready to burst right now because I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about these assholes who just post their nonsense. They're just fucking bullshit, and that leads me to my final hate. Okay, David. I hate assholes who take advantage of people to make a buck, or to get a fucking click, or to get a like, or to get a follow, or whatever the hell it is. I hate these assholes. There's these motherfuckers that have a YouTube channel, and they're somewhat, I guess, quote unquote, popular with the people, with the fans, with the horror crowd. You know, they're the it crowd, and you know, somebody might listen. They'd be like, "Oh, Brett, you're just jealous because you're not as popular." No, I'm not. Because guess what? Fuck them. I'd rather have nobody listen to my podcast than be them and have 8 million people listen to my podcast. These two fuckers, they go around and they what is the word I'm looking for, David? Because I've said this diatribe to you before.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Exploit?
Exploit, thank you. They go around and they exploit the deaths and or lives of people, real people, mind you. Okay, we're talking not. I'm not talking like, oh, here's the filming location for the fucking Goonies, or here's the filming location where they made the Burbs. You know, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about real.
And they do some
people.
of that too, but yes, they also do like real celebrity deaths, murders,
and victims and murderers, and they're like, oh, this is where, you know. Listen, I don't know if this is exactly what they've done, but this is where John Wayne Gacy killed his fucking first 8 Boy Scouts. It's like, dude. That's fucking exploitation.
It's gross.
And that's gross. That's sick and that's wrong. And anybody who fucking likes that shit, you're sick. I understand being a fan of like, oh, I'm going to watch real crime dramas.
True crime kind of stuff.
True crime stuff. I understand that. And I do like watching like unsolved mysteries and things. But that's not exploiting the victims.
Yeah.
What they're doing is exploiting the victims. Or, oh, we're gonna go visit who was it that fucking died? Norm Macdonald's, Bob Saget's grave. It's like 2 days after he was fucking buried. Oh, we're at Bob Saget's grave. It's like, oh, fuck yourself.
That is very strange.
Do you ever think that maybe for 1 second you're not entitled to go to his fucking grave and film it and get a fucking click from it?
Yeah, it's kind of fucked up.
Things I love, David. I love my
Which brings us to love.
I love my friends and I love my family.
That is all.
Okay. I love going to Target and getting a coffee from Starbucks and just walking around. I love that. That's like some of the most relaxing thing in the world is to just go to Target, get a Starbucks. Yeah, I don't care. I'll fucking buy a Starbucks. I'll support corporations. I don't care. Get a Starbucks, get a Starbies. Yeah, got my little Starbies. Oh, walk around with my cart, with my wife, holding hands. Looking at toys, looking at clothes, looking at fucking stand mixers. I don't give a fuck what you look at. You can look at anything. Yeah. Just look and go, oh, yeah, I can see us having that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also love mindless, boring-ass TV.
Oh, yeah.
Just TV that you don't even have to, like, pay attention to.
which is on in the background, or something you've seen 1,000 times and you know all the words, you know all the jokes, but you're still watching it.
That I do like too. I like that with movies, but with the TV I'm talking about is like baking shows or baking contest shows, right? It's like
That's right. I forgot you're into that.
Great American Baker, or what's the one that I've watched? Bake Squad is the one that I'm like hooked on now on Netflix, and it's like these 4 like bakers and this one woman who's like, I got this A-team squad of bakers, and you got a problem, we're gonna solve it. And so like someone's like, oh, it's my dad.
Ice of bakers.
It's like my dad. It's my dad's 60th birthday. Well, call in the Bake Squad, and they make 4 different desserts, and it's like, ooh, I'm gonna pick that one, and then that's the one that you get for your dad's birthday party. And it's like that they're the Bake Squad.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever watched a single one of those cooking type competition shows.
You're missing out, my friend. You're missing out because that is something that I love. All right, I've calmed down, David. I'm a little bit calmer. I just needed to get that off my chest. I've been thinking about that. I've been stewing.
If you don't let off the steam, it'll bottle up and you'll explode.
That's true.
You can't have that.
That's true.
If you did explode, though, I would totally like capitalize on it and like repost it and have a whole channel about that guy that exploded on the internet. I would exploit your explosion.
You would post this video?
Yes.
This is the exact moment that Bret exploded.
Now that you say, it would be the same as usual, I guess.
You'd have to like contact my wife and be like, hey, can you send me that raw footage that Bret was recording on his end, because when he died,
but just send it to me.
Yeah, I fucking look like that fucker in the what's that movie? Fucking Scanners.
Or I do the opposite and I don't tell anybody that it happened. I totally cover the whole thing up. I get a cardboard cutout of you. I start doing both voices.
Or just edit together old episodes. Like nobody listened to those early ones anyway.
Exactly. Or it's just me making dick jokes and you reacting. Just different clips of you laughing.
People are like, wow, this podcast really changed. Bret did a lot of talking before, and now all of a sudden
David's a fucking chatterbox.
Oh, David, in March, we talked about Rose McGowan.
We did.
All right. Rose McGowan is actually going to be here in New Jersey.
Is she
Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Is she? Well, right now she's planning on it. Hopefully, if she cancels, hopefully Monster Mania will tell me. So, going back to that whole, like, she missed that convention due to whatever, she's going to be here. And so I'll get a chance to meet her for you.
Thanks.
I'll tell her you said hi.
Yep.
But right around the time that she's coming out here in March, we have another Scream movie coming out.
Scream 6.
Scream 6 is coming out. She was in Scream 1.
Ghostface Takes Manhattan.
Scream 6, Ghostface Takes Manhattan. Scream movies don't have subtitles.
No, I kind of like that.
Yeah. They're just like Scream 1.
Yeah, it's not like Scream, The Curse of the Black Pearl. None of that bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, I like it with the Friday the 13th movies. I like it with the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I don't think it needs to be with anything else.
It's simple. I like it.
In this new Scream movie, the Scream 6, obviously we haven't seen it because it hasn't come out. Excuse me. In this new Scream movie, we have a character coming back who we once thought was dead.
Maybe she is dead. Maybe she's a zombie. That's the spin on the new film.
That's not true. The character is Kirby from Scream 4. Hayden Panettiere. Panettiere?
I have no idea how to say her name.
I think it's Panettiere.
I'm just gonna call her Kirby.
She was married to a Klitschko. Like the boxers?
Oh, okay.
Klitschko. Like Vladimir or Vitaly. I don't know which one it was.
Klitschko sounds like a kitchen gadget that you would see while browsing Target with your fucking latte.
Yeah. She was married to one. They have a kid together. But anyway, she's married to a former boxer.
Nice.
They're not married anymore. She's single.
Oh, it's a shame.
For all you guys out there. But she played Kirby in Scream 4. Now in Scream 5, there is an Easter egg. Do you know about this?
Is she mentioned or something, or is she in a photo?
It's a it's a thumbnail on the screen. I think of whatever his name was, Jack or whatever, the guy who ends up, spoiler alert, Scream 5, he ends up being the killer, and he's online.
Yeah. There's a Kirby tab.
There's a thumbnail, and it says survivor of Ghostface, real Ghostface murders, Kirby.
Oh, that's cool. I'll have to
Reed
take
or
I'll
whatever.
have to take a look.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably
Blink
really
and you
small.
miss it. I love stuff like that, though.
Yeah. So they were maybe setting that up
That's awesome.
to bring her back if they needed to. But that leads me to this. She's going to be in Scream 6, so I thought, let's do Scream 4.
It makes sense.
And I said, let's do Scream 4. And David goes, why don't we do Scream 5? Because that's what this is a direct sequel of. And I was like, no, because you got Kirby. We got to talk about Kirby.
Well, and we haven't done Scream 4, and we've done
true.
the Scream movies in order, unlike some of our other franchises.
Unlike Friday the 13th. Yeah. So Scream 4. Let's talk about it.
Let's do it.
Scream 4 was released on April 15th, 2011. Did you see this in the theater?
No, this is actually the only Scream movie that I didn't see in the theater. I know.
Can I ask why?
You know what's weird? At the time, I really wanted to see it, and no one else did. And I didn't want to go to the movies by myself. So I was like, I'll just wait till it comes out on video. And then I think I bought it when it came out.
Yeah, I remember being pretty excited for it.
I was excited too. Yeah, it's the only one that I haven't seen.
Well,
in the
David, if
theater.
I would have known you in 2011, I would have gone and seen this with you because
Even
I did.
16-year-old David saw the first one in the theater.
I didn't see I didn't see the first one in the theater. The first one's the only one I didn't see in the theater. But April 15th, 2011, what do you think the number one movie in the box office was?
I'm going to say it was this movie.
I said the same thing. And as I was typing it, I even typed in Scream 4, and then I looked it up to verify, and it was not Scream 4.
Oh, shit.
It was not the number one movie. It was never the number one movie.
Huh.
The number one movie at the time was Rio.
Oh, okay. The cartoon?
Now, this movie was released in April. I mean, it was around Easter, because I think right before Rio was number one was Hop.
Oh, all right.
Or maybe it was a sequel to
These
Hop. I don't know.
animated films.
Animated films, kids movies, Get the kids out there. They're
This
on
is the
spring break.
opposite of that.
Yeah, so Rio was also a kids movie. But this is not a kids movie.
It is not. This is the anti-Rio.
Anti-Rio. What do you think the number one song was?
I'm going to go with our old friend, Ms. Lady Gaga. Go with
Lady
Born
Gaga.
This Way.
Yeah. That's unfortunate that you're wrong again. But
You suck, David.
this is a song I've never heard, and people are probably like, "Oh, you've never heard this? Why not?" It's a Katy Perry song. It's a Katy Perry song, which is odd because my wife really likes Katy Perry, so I thought I would have heard this. But it's called E.T.
E.T.
by Katy Perry featuring Kanye West.
I'm sure we've heard it. Just that title also doesn't ring a bell, but I'm sure we've heard it.
Yeah, I've heard it now because I listened to it, and I was like,
I feel like I've heard every Katy Perry song 1,000 times.
Yeah, me too. Speaking of Katy Perry, not really, but that always reminds me of her halftime show, and then Rihanna just did a halftime show. What'd you think of Rihanna's halftime show?
I thought it was all right. I wasn't blown away. But
Dude, I thought it was really good.
I saw a lot of people talking shit online about it, and I was like, oh, come on.
They're idiots.
You people need to fucking get lives. It was
Get
fine.
Lives, yes. It was really good. I thought, she's
Visually
pregnant.
very cool. Like all
Yes.
the levels. Like my balls kept moving every time. I was like, oh,
yeah.
stop. She's going to fall.
When they were raising and lowering her, I thought, visually it was really good. Listen, I'm not a big Rihanna fan.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah, same.
I'm
indifferent.
I could care less about Rihanna songs. But I understand that she's popular. I understand that she's talented.
She sounded good.
She sounded good. She looked good.
Yeah.
It was kind of a fun, snowman, marshmallow man type dancing
Little sperm
guys.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, little sperm people. Katy Perry had a good halftime show too with the shark. Remember the shark? The dancing shark.
Fucking stone shark.
I'm gonna put that under things I love. Katy Perry
Katy
shark
Perry,
guy.
shark dancer.
Shark. Yes, I will write that down. Okay. Scream 4, written by Kevin Williamson. Kind of. All right. Kevin Williamson wrote it. He came back because he didn't write Scream 3.
Right.
He was too busy teaching Mrs. Tingle and doing all other sorts of stuff. But he came back for this one, wrote it, and that's the reason why this movie was directed by Wes Craven. Because Wes Craven's like, hey, if Kevin Williamson comes back,
I'll do another
script
one.
is good, I'll do it. Kevin Williamson wrote the script, and then those fuckers that I hate. Who do I hate? Oh, I got to write it down. Things I
Such
fucking
a
hate.
long list.
Who do I hate, David?
I don't know.
The Weinsteins.
Oh, yes. That's right. They did all the Scream movies. Well, the
Oh,
first
my
four.
God. What a bunch of dicks. They were like, oh, we need to have it rewritten. So they had that lady, and nothing against her, but the lady who wrote Scream 3 came back and did some rewrites and took out a
Interesting,
bunch of
okay.
shit. So Kevin Williamson's kind of like, fuck that. That movie, sucks. Wes Craven did come out and say, listen, 95% of it is still from Kevin Williamson.
That's good.
But
Dude, speaking of Scream 3 real quick, there are a lot of people online, at least I see this a lot on Twitter, a lot of Scream 3 stands out there. A lot of people are like, Scream 3 is my favorite movie, fight me. And it's like, I will fight you because that movie sucks.
let me see. I got to add this
Add
to
it
the
to the
things
list.
that I hate.
People who stand
All right.
Scream 3.
This goes back to the people that are fucking losers. Okay?
No. Like what you want to like. But to me,
No.
like,
I'm gonna yes, like what you want to like, but they only like it because everybody hates it. They're those types of people.
well, I think
Like,
some
there's
of them are probably those people.
some of them. Okay, there's probably someone out there who's like, hey, it was the first horror movie I ever saw, so that's why I like it. Okay, you're forgiven. But it's you motherfuckers who are like, I'm just gonna like it because everybody hates it. It's like, go.
Well, and I see a lot of
yourself.
like people that like it for the very reason that I don't like it. And they're like, I like that Roman, orchestrated everything. It all connects back to the first movie. But to me, like, it's such a crazy convoluted plot device that if you really pull that thread, like, it doesn't make any sense.
No. It's such retconning that doesn't make any sense. It's like saying fucking midichlorians, all right?
This
It's
isn't like
listen,
fourth dimensional
all right, George
chess.
Lucas.
This is like 20 dimension chess that he had to be playing.
Yeah, he had to be playing. And it's just so unbelievable.
Yeah.
I don't even acknowledge that. When I think of Scream, I don't even acknowledge that movie. I go right from 1 to 4 in my head.
Yeah, I only
I
watch
don't even
3 if I have
acknowledge
to
2.
for a podcast or something.
Yeah, 2 and 3, like 2 is okay.
2's all right.
But 3, I'm just like, okay, I guess it happened. I don't know. Jay and Silent Bob were in it. To me, that means it's fiction. It's fiction because Jay and Silent Bob don't exist in the world.
There you go.
Although, it's all fiction. So, anyway, music by Marco Beltrami. Again, produced by Wes Craven. Aya LaBonca. That's a name.
La Banca.
And Kevin Williamson. So, I mean, Kevin Williamson got paid. Like, he got paid to write it. He got
It matters to him, I'm sure. Like, whatever.
Yeah. This movie stars, once again, Neve Campbell, David Arquette, and Courtney Cox reprising their roles as Sidney, Dewey, and Gale, respectively. We got Emma Roberts in kind of like her first major role, I think. She is, of course, the daughter of Eric Roberts.
Yeah.
And she's the niece of Julia Roberts. I got on a little Eric Roberts kick. Very little one.
Yeah.
A couple months ago, I watched Best of the Best, which was an Eric Roberts movie. And
He's
then
at some of these shows we go to.
Yeah, he is actually, isn't he? I'll have to go see him. He's done some other movies that people really like, but I was always a big fan of Best of the Best. Then I watched it again, being an adult, and I was like, well, what the fuck was I thinking as a child? This movie
I love
sucks
when that
ass.
happens. Like, you're like, I'm an adult now, apparently.
Yeah. It's like when I watch Bloodsport or Kickboxer, and I was like, Jean-Claude Van Damme was awesome. And then I watch it, and I'm like, not so much.
Did I tell you about how I watched Bloodsport like over the summer? And it was the first time I'd seen it since I was probably like a teenager, and I enjoyed it like in a cheesy way. It's like, this is a terrible movie, but fun.
Yeah.
But my dog sat next to me on the couch and watched the whole fucking movie. She was captivated. It's my dog's favorite movie.
Chong-Li.
Kumite.
Hey, the guy from Bloodsport, we were in the elevator with him, fucking Booger.
That's right.
Or not Booger, Ogre. Fucking Ogre. Sitting right next to me in the elevator. Yeah, coming up from the pool. I didn't even know who he was. All right. As I said before, Hayden Panettiere plays Kirby. Spoiler alert, she survives. Marley Shelton plays Judy Hicks. Marley Shelton, Wendy Peppercorn, anyone? From Sandlot? Rory Culkin, the lesser, not
one of the Culkins, one of the
not
many
in quantity,
Culkins.
but in age. I think he's the youngest, Culkin. Allison Brie. And then there's Anna Paquin, Kristen Bell, excuse me, Anthony Anderson, Adam Brody. They all have kind of
Smaller
bit parts.
Yeah.
Smaller parts. Roger L. Jackson also as
Voice of
Ghostface.
Ghostface.
Voice. Runtime of this movie was 111 minutes. This is a long one. Budget was $40 million. David, what do you think the box office was?
I know this was a hit. I'll go
Didn't beat Rio.
That's true, but I think maybe it had legs. I don't know, and they made more Scream movies, so it turned a profit. I'm gonna go
However, it
100
did
million.
take them another 10 years to make another Scream movie. So
That's true. I'm guessing 100
ahead.
million.
97.2 million.
Ooh, pretty close.
Just facts. Just facts. Just facts, man.
All right, so it did take them 10 years to make another Scream movie after this movie, and part of that reason was, I shouldn't say it was due to the lack of success of this movie, but
Yeah,
because
someone died.
Wes Craven passed away. This was actually the last film that Wes Craven directed. He passed away from brain cancer.
Yeah, what,
Brain-
2015-ish?
August 30th, 2015. You're absolutely correct. Another fact here, deleted scenes include a scene where Dewey explains to Gail Weathers, Gail Weathers Riley, because
That's
they're
right,
married
they're
now in
married.
this movie. He explains to her that Neil Prescott has passed away. Sydney's dad has passed away. And this is the first time that Sydney's coming back to Woodsboro since his death.
Okay.
So they kind of add that in there. One thing I should note is that little another fact, David Arquette and Courtney Cox were married,
That's right.
and they had separated right before they started filming this movie.
Awkward.
But apparently they were really professionals,
That's
and they worked together well. And again, they worked together
So
on
they're
Scream
in the,
5.
Yeah.
Okay. This, I'm going to kind of jump ahead, but I thought this was an interesting thing. So I'm going to jump ahead in the movie. So if you don't know anything about this movie, I don't even know why you're listening to this podcast. All right. But so the original ending of the movie had Jill being taken away on in an ambulance. Okay.
Okay, that happens.
And Dewey's talking to her. And he's like, hey, is it, blah, 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 blah. And she's all, oh, leave me alone. Don't photograph me. And meanwhile, she wants to be photographed, right?
Right.
And then a paramedic from inside shouts that they have a woman alive.
We got a live
they-
one.
Yeah.
It's
but
Sydney.
they don't say which one. So it could be Sydney or it could be
Or
Kirby.
it could be Kirby. Ah.
And the film would have ended as a cliffhanger, which would have set up Jill as like kind of the antagonist, anti-heroine
For
of the
part
next
5.
film. And then
That could have been interesting.
also that part 5 might have had Sydney having like amnesia, so she doesn't know that Jill was the one who tried to kill her. So she would be
Yeah,
unable to.
I'm glad they didn't do that. Amnesia stuff bothers me as a plot device in movies.
That was just a rumor.
Yeah.
That was just a rumor. But the whole thing about that, and Kevin Williamson was actually upset because he liked his ending. And there is a link online. If you go to Wikipedia, which is where I get all my correct information.
Facts.
That and IMDb. But if you go to Wikipedia, you can find a link in the notes, like the citations to the original Kevin Williamson script.
Oh, cool.
And you can read that if you so choose. I started to, but then I was like, I got to do a podcast on the actual film, and I shouldn't go down this rabbit hole. Another fun thing, bust of Henry Winkler, the principal from the
Yeah.
first one, is in the movie.
Oh, that's cool.
Did you notice that? The first time they're in the
No.
high school, the girls are at the locker.
You got like a
and you
Principal
can
Hembry memorial.
Yep, in the foreground you can see it.
Oh, that's
and
fucking
I
cool.
actually rewound it the other day, and I was like, "Oh, look, there's a
That's cool.
Henry Winkler bust." Footage from the Stab movie, the movie within the movie, says a Robert Rodriguez film,
I noticed that.
and
yeah.
Robert Rodriguez actually directed that portion,
That makes a lot of sense because it definitely even looked like his style. So
which is
that's
kind
cool.
of funny. In this film and all the preceding ones, there's always a killer with an actual motive against Sidney. Billy in Scream, Debbie Loomis in Scream 2, Roman in Scream 3, and Jill in this movie. And in all but Scream 3, they all have an accomplice who just wants to kill for the thrill. Stu, Mickey, and Charlie. However, in Scream 3, it was originally scripted and filmed to reveal that the character of Angelina was Roman's girlfriend and she was the second killer. But it was omitted from the final version of the studio, or on studio orders, so probably the Weinsteins fucking said, get that out of here. But there's clues to this twist that remain in the finished movie, so fans have hypothesized that she was either betrayed and killed by Roman or faked her own death.
The one killer angle of Scream 3 is one of the only things that I like about it.
Yeah. I'm going to get to that kind of in my review. But let's go ahead and talk about the plot of this movie.
Let's do it.
All right, so it's 15 years after the events of the original Woodsboro High murders.
Yep. And
I guess,
like, the Woodsboro murders have spawned, like, an entire tired series of stab movies based on the events of Woodsboro.
Yeah, and so, like, I guess Woodsboro was only the site of the first movie, right? Because Scream 2 happened in college, and Scream 3 happened in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So this one is now, and I don't know where they went to college, but now they're back in Woodsboro. So it's kind of like, and as you said, and Gail Weathers' book actually inspired
the
series.
Movies. Yeah. And we start with like a cold open like we do in all of the Scream movies. But kind of a fun little spin on it. It's like a movie within a movie. Like you get the whole like ghost face interaction with people running away, and then all of a sudden, like when the kill happens, it says stab 6 on the screen, and then it pans out to like people that are watching it, like, oh, this movie's so fucking dumb, blah 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 blah, talking shit about it.
And then, it's Kristen Dunst and
Kristen Bell.
Kristen Bell, excuse me, not Kristen Dunst. Kristen Bell and Anna Paquin are sitting there watching it.
Yeah.
And then I think Kristen Bell stabs Anna Paquin. And then it says stab 7. And then it pans out again. So it's like a movie within a movie within a movie. And then it's these two girls.
And they're watching
and the one's like, if Scream 6 was the beginning to Scream 7. Or Stab 6 was the beginning to Stab 7, then is Stab 6 even a real thing? And like, what universe is this set in? And it doesn't make any sense. And the other girl's like, whatever, just enjoy the movie. You know, they're just two friends, and one of them doesn't like horror, and the other one does. That's Marnie and Jenny are the two right here, and Jenny receives a phone call. And well, no, wait. Actually, that doesn't happen yet. Jenny goes upstairs to check on a noise that she hears, and she calls Marnie, who's the one who doesn't like horror, and she puts on that scream voice, right?
But she doesn't know it, so she gets a phone call from Ghostface, and she's like, oh, God, and then she starts laughing like, ha, 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 you dumb bitch.
Yeah.
It's just me. I'm using a voice changer app.
Yep. But then they actually do get like a phone call from a Ghostface, and says that they're at the door, or is there a text message? I think there's a text message.
I can't remember, but yeah, the one girl checks and opens up the front door, and there's nobody there.
Yep. And then all of a sudden, Ghostface appears from behind them and kills the one. And then they go to there's a little homage to the
first one, the garage.
The first
scene.
one with the garage crunches on her and hurts her, but they pull her back and they stab her.
Yep.
And that's our cold open. So we had like 3 cold opens in one.
Yeah, the first time I saw this movie, I was like, is it going to say stab 8 now? I was like, because I'm ready for this movie to start.
Yep. So, I don't know. That's kind of fun. It's kind of fun that they did that. It's kind of almost making fun of themselves.
Exactly. Yeah, I like it.
Like, it got a little ridiculous, we know, with Scream 3. But we're back. We're going to do an actual legit movie this time.
I think it's also, like, poking fun at, like, these franchises, like the Saw movies. I think they even mentioned Saw at one point. Like, they just keep making them. They just keep going. It's like, ugh.
they do mention the Saw movies, and they talk about how the characters talk about how they hate the like torture porn
Yeah.
genre of horror movies, and which I do somewhat agree. I did like Saw to a certain extent, but the more Saw movies they made, the more retconning they had to do. And they had to, oh man, someday we got to go down this rabbit hole someday.
The Saw
where we got to
universe.
like fucking get the string out and
Start
cork
connecting
board.
everything.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But anyway, so they're murdered.
Yeah.
It is, like I said, 15th anniversary of the original Woodsboro murders, and we'll just kind of hit the high points here.
Yeah. Sydney is coming back. She
wrote
written
a
a book now. Out of Darkness, I think it was called. And kind of like seems like kind of a self-help kind of thing, and about her journey and stuff. So she's back in
less about the
Woodsboro.
murders and more about being a survivor,
Yeah.
and not being a victim or something like that.
Yeah.
And she's back in town. She's got this publicist who's Rebecca, and she's like, they're like, okay, we're gonna take you back to Woodsboro. You're gonna do like a book signing and everything like that. It's gonna be huge publicity, and we can sell a lot of books this way. And you kind of get the sense that she's reluctantly doing
this is the publicist's idea. Like
Yeah.
Sydney's just kind of like, yeah, whatever.
Yep. But she goes back. Dewey is the sheriff of the town now. He's married to Gail. Gail hasn't really done much. She lives in Woodsboro now, which is kind of a podunk town.
Yeah, and she's trying to write like a novel, and she's like, I have nothing. I can't think of anything to write.
You got Judy Hicks, who's his deputy, kind of right-hand man or woman, and she is played by Marley Shelton. And, just kind of going about their lives, and then they find out about these murders that had happened. Dewey does. And Sydney hears about them also, and she's like, But they find evidence from the victims in
in
her
the middle
rental
of the
car.
book signing, Dewey comes in, bursts into the bookstore, and he's like, all right, everybody, listen up. We got a suspicious we traced a call signal from the crime scene of a murder last night, and we think the phone might be here. So he takes out his phone and calls it, and the phone starts ringing, and he hears it, and they go out, and sure shit, it's Sydney's rental car.
Sydney's rental car, which, so there's a lot of red herrings in this movie.
Oh yeah.
And we obviously know
All of
Sydney's
them.
not the killer,
All the Scream
right?
movies.
Yeah. But we obviously know Sydney's not the killer because, she's fucking Sydney Prescott. We know Dewey's not, and we know Gail's not, because those are our three returning. Although that would be an interesting twist if,
Gail to
one of them
kickstart
just
a career
becomes
or
a
something.
fucking killer, just loses their mind.
Yeah.
But Rebecca Walters, who's the publicist, well, how did the stuff get there? She's the one who rented the car.
Right. And there's blood smeared on the books, and there was a knife in there too. So I don't know if was that the murder weapon from the previous night, or is it just
think so.
a random knife? I assumed it was
think
the
it
murder
was.
weapon too.
Now, Dewey doesn't believe that it was Sydney, but he's like, you got to stick around town.
Everybody's a
Well,
suspect, kind of shit.
Everybody's a suspect again. Sydney's cousin is Jill. Emma Roberts, but in the movie it's Jill Roberts, kind of convenient. But Jill is going to high school with her friends. She's got a friend named Olivia and a friend named Kirby. And they're all on.
And they talk about Sydney a little bit, and I think Kirby refers to her as the Grim Reaper, which I thought was kind of funny. She's like, oh, why is she coming to town? Only death follows her. It's like, she's making good points.
Yeah. Jill, though, is also coping with the infidelity of her ex-boyfriend. So
Trevor, you asshole.
Trevor
good thing
cheated
going.
on. He cheated on her with Jenny, who was the girl who was killed the previous night.
Uh-oh.
Unbeknownst to these girls, right? So all of a sudden, they're riding to school, and Jill gets a phone call from Jenny's phone, and it's Ghostface.
Uh-oh.
And she thinks it's Trevor, and she's like, what are you doing? And she thinks it's a prank call and all this other kind of stuff. And she even puts it on speaker so everybody can hear. And then that same Ghostface calls from the same number to Olivia's phone. And they're like, what the fuck is going on? Then the girls find out about the murders. And they're like, whoa, we got to go to the cops, right? And tell them that somebody called us from Jenny's phone
Right.
saying that, you know, in that Ghostface voice, right, from the Stab movies.
Mm-hmm.
The cops then are there, and Sydney's there, and they're talking to the girls are talking to Dewey. And I thought it was kind of funny because Kirby's like, oh, well, he didn't call my phone. I'm just here for support. But does that mean
what
I'm
does
the
that
next?
mean? Does that mean I'm next? And he's like, no. Well, maybe. Could be.
She's like, oh, fuck, I'm going to die. So they're going to investigate the murders, or they're investigating the murders. Gail, though, she has this writer's block. She looks at this and she's like, oh, shit, I'm back, right? I can be Gail Weathers'
Yeah,
reporter.
I'm good at this. Like, I'm pretty good at solving shit. And she wants to get involved. So she even asks Dewey, like, if she can talk to Sydney. And so he's like, I'm kind of doing my job here. Could you step aside? And I like
Gail
that
makes up
Hicks, the assistant or whatever, the deputy. I like the interaction that those two have because it's kind of insinuated. It seems like Hicks has got a little bit of a thing for Dewey.
Yeah.
But I think it's more of like a, aw, shucks, folksy kind of thing. But Gail's intimidated by it, and she like calls her out for always making these lemon squares for Dewey. And like she eats one. She says lemon squares taste like ass.
and then David Arquette's like, they don't really.
They don't. She doesn't mean that.
But Gail does make a good point because she's like, hey, Dewey, I've solved 3 of these already.
Yeah, might you want to pick my brain a little?
Yeah, we should be working together. Like we've worked together. We've always worked together,
right.
And we've always solved this. So what makes this different? But he's like, no, I'm the sheriff now. I got to do things by the book. So she's like, fuck this. I'm going to go do this by myself.
Yep.
I'm going rogue. Sydney then is staying in the town. So she goes over to Jill's house because that's her cousin and her aunt who's on her mom's side.
Right.
So her mom's sister. Her Aunt Kate. She's staying the night there. Right next door to Jill's house is Olivia. So Kirby's over.
Watching Shaun of the Dead.
Watching Shaun of the Dead. And Olivia comes home. And they get a phone call from Ghostface. I think Jill does. Or Kirby does, actually. And they start talking to Ghostface. And they're thinking that it's Trevor playing a stupid practical joke, and Ghostface is like, I'm in the closet. So Kirby opens up the closet and nothing's in there.
Yeah, it's like, you fucking liar. I knew it.
Yeah,
and Ghostface is like, I didn't say your closet.
Yeah, I didn't say what closet. And all of a sudden he appears from behind Olivia.
Yeah,
and
across,
I'm going to tell you.
Through the window in the next
they can
house.
See. I'm going to tell you, David, this murder, like I didn't remember it being as graphic as it is.
This movie's pretty violent as far as like the Scream movies go. I think this is one of the more brutal ones.
It's not as bad as Scream 5. Scream 5 was brutal.
Yeah.
But this one was up there, yeah.
This kill is pretty intense.
This particular kill was very less cartoony, I think, than other ones in the past. Or even other ones in this movie. So she dies.
Yeah, and he like stabs her a bunch of times and like smashes her face through the window.
Yeah,
and
guts her.
Sydney runs over to the house and there's just blood everywhere.
Her intestines.
And her intestines are hanging out.
Yeah. She runs over there. She gets a phone call from Ghostface, who then talks to her. Jill comes over. And is like, what's going?
Ghostface attacks.
Yeah, then Ghostface attacks and gets Jill on the arm, to which Jill's like, and then Sydney ends up kicking his ass, and then the cops come in, and Ghostface is gone, of course, because that's what happens. But Jill's like, you're right. My friends were right. You are the bringer of death, or whatever it is.
Yeah, stay away from me.
Stay away from me. But she quickly apologizes to her, and she's like, let's go.
You actually saved my life, so
yeah,
I guess I should say thank you.
They go to the hospital. And Sydney's publicist is like, fuck, yes. This not a better thing couldn't happen right now, right?
Yeah.
Because
this is going to do great things for the book sales.
Yep. And Sydney hears this and she's like, you're fucking fired. Because Sydney, like I, don't like when people take advantage of fuckers to make a buck.
Sydney has a list and she's like, hey, have you ever looked at this list of things I hate?
She's like, I have a list of things I love.
Of tragic events is on there. So I'm sorry. We're going to have to part ways professionally.
So the publicist is like, well, fuck you. And she goes walking to her car. and she gets a phone call from Ghostface.
Uh-oh.
And
Ghostface got
one-
quite the Rolodex. Quite
He
the
does, right?
access to phone numbers.
She gets killed in the parking garage. And while Dewey's giving kind of a press conference downstairs, telling everybody outside downstairs, like, everything's going to be
Everything's under
fine.
control. Yeah.
All of a sudden, the publicist's body gets thrown from the balcony and lands on top of the news van.
Whoopsie.
Whoopsie. Gail decides she's going to enlist the help of 2 high school movie fanatics. So we got our kind of Randy-esque
Right.
characters, and that's Charlie and Robbie.
Yeah, and Gail
And-
theorizes that she's like, I'm noticing a pattern that this seems to be following, like the deaths seem to be following a very similar pattern to the original Woodsboro murders.
Well, okay, let's
No, but not
Gail
really.
and her fucking patterns, right?
A little
Because
bit. There
in
was
the
a
first
publicist?
movie, or in the second movie, she also says that there's a pattern because she's like, oh, look, the names. And then it totally abandons that. The killer totally abandons the name fucking pattern. And then now in this one, she's like, there's a pattern. Well, kind of, I guess,
A
not
little
really.
bit.
However, I will say this: all the characters represent somebody from the original
Yeah.
movie, right? Jill is kind of like your Sydney. Trevor is the Skeet
Billy.
Ulrich character. Billy, thank you. Robbie
He's the Randy.
is Randy, and Charlie is Stu. So, Charlie says to Gail that there's rules to a horror. Of course, everybody's got to have their fucking rules
the
in these
rules.
movies, right? In this horror remake. And he tells Gail and Sydney about Stabathon.
Yeah, because
which is-
they get them to come to like their cinema club meeting or whatever to like exchange
high school,
ideas or
yeah.
whatever.
Which I really didn't understand because it's like, it's a cinema club, and I understand that you're fans of a movie, but it'd be like us going, hey, we really like the movie Zodiac. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, oh, but here's a survivor from the actual Zodiac murders. Let's have them come to our cinema club. Why? No, I'm not fans of the I'm not fans of the actual
I'm
killing.
a fan of the movie.
I'm a fan of Jake Gyllenhaal, okay? And Robert Downey Jr.
But they
So-
go to the club, and then those two, Robbie and Charlie, kind of theorize that like the killer is probably filming the murders to like upload them, like because everything's on the internet now.
Yeah,
It's
there's
all
this
about
whole,
being
like, weird-
internet famous.
There's this whole weird logic that they have that kind of, I guess it makes sense in their world, but I'm like, how did you get from point A to point B on that one?
That was a
It's
little
like-
weird. Well, it's also Robbie. I felt like this might be aspirational kind of stuff because he films his entire life. He has a camera mounted on his head.
And it's also Charlie, so maybe Charlie's like feeding these breadcrumbs
Yeah.
to do whatever. But they tell her about Stabathon, which is this annual horror movie marathon party that they have where they watch all 7 stab movies in a row, which would take 14 hours
It's a long day.
and that's a fucking long day.
Yeah, I know. Like Gail says something like, "Where's this circle jerk happening? I want to go," and they won't tell her. But something that when I heard that line, that I laughed because I forgot about this. When I bought the Blu-ray, I think it's on the Blu-ray, in the deleted or outtakes, Courtney Cox struggles to say that line and fucks it up like 1,000 times. Like, where's the circle? She keeps like stumbling over words like circle joke. Like, well, what? She can't get it out, or she starts
That's
laughing.
That's pretty funny. She does find out where it's at because she follows them.
Yeah.
And she's going to take advantage of internet technology. I mean, in the first movie, she hid a camera at a party. So this movie, she's going to take like
Got
3
lots of cameras.
webcams because, hey, everybody's got internet connection out in this old fucking barn that they're having the Stabathon at. And she's going to put these cameras up so she can keep an eye on the party. Well, she puts her cameras up, and then one by one, the cameras like go.
Yeah, she's
facing
watching,
down.
she's monitoring them, and they start getting covered. She's like, fuck.
So she goes back in, and when she goes back in, Ghostface attacks her.
Uh-oh.
Dewey shows up, scares him off before he can do real harm, but he stabs her like
Right in the
Ghostface
shoulder.
stabs her like in the shoulder.
Yeah. And of course, Ghostface gets away.
Ghostface gets away. Meanwhile, the 2 other officers, this is Anthony Anderson.
The ones that have been
and-
watching Jill's house.
Yeah. They're keeping an eye on Jill, and they both get killed kind of a fun way. Well, not fun, but
It's kind of a funny death.
the one cop gets killed. He goes to take a leak and he comes back, I think, and he gets
Stabbed
killed
in the
and then-
back, and then the other guy gets stabbed right in the forehead.
yeah, and he stays alive.
Yeah, and he's like
Anthony Anderson.
swinging, like trying to fight him off, but he's dying.
And I guess Wes Craven had just read like a story about somebody who got either stabbed or impaled in the head, like right there, and drove himself to the hospital.
Oh,
Because it won't necessarily kill you. Like, I think eventually, yes, you would die without medical help. You would
you just
die.
have a knife sticking out of your head for the rest of your life. You're like,
But there was a
doesn't
guy
bother me
back
that
in
much.
the 18 or maybe it was early 1900s who was working like in a mine.
Mm-hmm.
And something like a piece of rebar or something. I don't know.
I
I'm
heard
probably
about
getting
this.
the story way wrong. Right through his head, and he lived for another couple of years. Now he was fucked up, like he was like walking all fucking weird, and he had a different personality from then on out.
Yeah,
but
probably
he
tripped
lived.
some circuits.
Yeah, definitely. But he lived. So yeah, they get killed. The Sydney is at Jill's house with her aunt, and she goes to look for Jill, and Jill's not there.
Yeah,
And she goes on Jill's computer. She goes onto Jill's computer, and Jill has sent a text message to her friend or a DM or whatever
to
Kirby, and it's like, "Hey, come pick me up." And she's like, "All right,
my
I'm
mom's
gonna
driving me
sneak out."
crazy. Get me out of here.
So she's gonna sneak out. So Sydney's like, "Fuck, I gotta go find Jill now, right?" She goes down. She gets her aunt, and her aunt's just come home from the grocery store. Another like red herring there too, right? Because the aunt is like just shows up magically. But Ghostface comes and attacks them.
Uh-oh.
The aunt actually is like holding the door, like she's got her back against the door, and Ghostface sticks a knife through the mail slot in the door right into her head and kills her.
Oh, that's a bummer. Gotta stay away from the mail slot.
Yeah, it's always
Just get a
stay away from the
mailbox.
mail slot.
See, that's why I don't have one of those.
See,
I saw this
I have a
movie.
mail slot at my house.
Uh-oh. You gotta watch
In
out
my
for
front
knives.
door, there's a mail slot. Except for when we first moved here, I was talking to the mail carrier, and she says, "Yeah, I'm not going around to the front. Put a mailbox back here. I'll deliver the mail to the back." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I got a mail slot out front, but no, the mail carrier only delivers to the back." Because we have an alley, and like our house and the house behind us kind of butt up, so that's why she goes to the back. She doesn't go out to the front.
Yeah, whatever.
Mail carriers. I'm not going to put that in the items that I hate, but I dislike that I can't use my
Your mail slot.
mail slot.
Use it as a glory hole or something.
I have a mail slot. Sydney goes to find Jill. Jill's at Kirby's house.
They're having like an after party because after the events of Stabathon, when all hell broke loose, like the cops broke the party up. So they're all
Yep.
hanging out at Kirby's house now.
Yeah, and Charlie and Kirby kind of have this thing going on, this kind of like flirty.
They've been kinda
Charlie's like a
flirty
big
the whole
nerd.
movie.
Yeah, Charlie's like a big nerd, and Kirby's like, like a more popular, pretty girl, but she's going to give him a chance. And she ends up being like a horror fan.
Yeah.
But like, he's like, "Oh, you're really a horror fan? Who played the original Leatherface?" And it's like, she goes, "Gunnar Hansen." And he's like, "Oh, you know your stuff." And I'm like, that's your litmus test?
Dude, I thought the same thing. I was like, what a fucking stupid thing to say. Also, it's kind of sexist. I don't know about sexist, but like, you see somebody who's like a big horror fan. Oh, let me start
Yeah.
quizzing you. Like,
Yeah.
why not just be like, oh, cool. We like the same kind of movies. Awesome. You ever seen this movie? Yeah.
Exactly.
I like that movie.
Why do you got to be a prick about it?
Yeah. I'm gonna fucking. Yeah, you're right. That's an odd flex. Like, oh,
He's a fucking piece of shit that sucks.
Little
Just like
known
these-
fact, a guy named Gunnar Hansen played him. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Who cares?
Yeah, that and like if you're a big horror fan, like everyone knows that. That's easy.
Yeah. Or maybe ask, like, if you want to like quiz somebody, you want to be like, who played Leatherface in part 2?
Yeah.
And then if they come back and say, well, there was 3 different people who played Leatherface in part
You
2,
married
which
that girl.
scenes? Then you're like, okay.
But she even tells him because I think I might be jumping ahead a little bit, but she tells him like, why don't you like make a move?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fine. We can jump ahead.
And I like he's like, why don't you make a move? She's like, I just did.
Yep.
I'm like inviting you to do something.
Trevor shows up and kind of busts the party, and he's like, he's still like, "Oh, Jill, come back with me." But he's like, Jill texted me from my phone. And Jill's like, I didn't text
Yeah,
you.
I
I'm
was
going to go get my
invited.
phone. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to go get my phone. So she leaves, and then Trevor leaves.
Something
and
I
then
really
Robbie
like about
leaves.
this scene is it's hard to keep tabs on who is where. I mean,
Yep.
it's very deliberate that they're doing this. Like, people are going in the room, people are going out of the room. So it's like, okay. Like,
Yep.
I remember the first
Everybody
time watching it, I was
always-
like trying to like connect the dots.
Yeah, everybody always splits off. Sydney finally gets there, and Charlie gets caught.
Oh yeah, he goes
Oh
outside.
no, Robbie. Excuse me,
Robbie goes outside.
Yeah, Robbie has his little internet show that he's doing. Again, it also pisses me off because it's like you have the internet wherever you go, and you can just record stuff and upload it live stream. Like you're fucking this. Especially like in 2011. Like it's 2023 and I go places and I'm like, I don't got any fucking service. But he's going outside and he's like got his camera on backwards. There was a moment there where I thought it would have been a cool, because he looks at his phone to
If he
see
had
what
seen
his
Ghostface?
lives. Yes.
Yeah.
And he realizes his camera's on backwards, right? But I thought it would be cool if they would have just had him like look at his phone and be like, oh, and then Ghostface appears on the camera.
I agree. That would have been
And
cool.
then he turns and then he gets killed. But instead, he turns the camera around and he's looking, and then Ghostface appears that way and kills him.
Yeah, and I do like when he's when he's getting killed. Earlier in the movie, like he talked about like how like there's no rules anymore, and like basically the
rules have changed.
The rules have changed, and the only way really to be guaranteed to survive a horror movie nowadays is to be gay.
Yeah.
And then like as he's like stabbing, he's like, no, I'm gay.
Yeah.
And then Ghostface pauses.
stops
And
and
he's
then
like, yeah, and he goes, if it helps.
yeah, and then kills him.
Yeah.
So yeah, Robbie dies. Sydney's there and she meets up with Kirby. She meets up with Jill, excuse me. She meets up with Jill and she's like, we got to get the fuck out of here. But then Ghostface comes. So her and Jill run and hide, and Sydney tells Jill, hide under the bed and don't come out until I tell you to. Ghostface comes in and she's like, Sydney's like yelling out the window like, run Jill, run.
Yeah. So that was pretty
You
smart.
can do it. Yeah. So Sydney goes out on the roof. Ghostface follows. She falls off the roof but lives. She goes back in the house and meets up with Kirby, who's all of a sudden magically there. But Sydney's like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to trust you. She can't find Jill. And they go down in the basement. All of a sudden at the door is Charlie.
Yeah, and he's got blood on his hand. He kind of smears it on the window, and he's like, oh, help, let me in.
And they won't let him in. And then
It's kind of a sad scene because like he's like pleading with Kirby, and Kirby's like, because Kirby's not stupid. She's like, I'm sorry, I can't.
And Sydney even says, if you can't trust him 100%, then don't let him in.
Yeah, and she doesn't.
She doesn't
But then
let
we
him
see
in.
Ghostface come up behind Charlie, and she's like, fuck. Sorry, buddy.
Yep. The lights go out, they come back on, and he's tied up, much like Drew Barrymore's boyfriend
Yep, in
at
the
the
first
beginning
one.
of Scream 1. Steve? Was his name Steve?
Yeah.
But he's tied up, and then Ghostface calls Kirby and says, we're going to play a game. And
Horror movie
I don't
trivia.
know. It's a horror movie trivia
Who
thing.
played
And it's
Leatherface in the first? She's like, we've already done this. Gunnar Hansen.
Gunnar Hansen.
Okay.
Like, fuck.
Well, if you're really smart, who played Freddy Krueger? Come on. Fuck off.
Jackie Earl Haley. So she goes. She answers all the questions, and then like there's a scene where it's like, what's remake, and she just names off all the fucking remakes that have happened recently
just
as of
rattles all of them
2011.
off.
Yeah, she just rattles them all off, and then Ghostface is no longer on the phone, so she's like, I won.
I
So
got
she
it.
opens the door and she goes outside and she cuts Charlie loose. And after she cuts him loose, she's like, you're free. We won the game, blah, 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 blah. And then Charlie stabs her.
Yeah, and he goes, Kirby, this is making a move.
Yep.
Right in the belly.
And then he's like, why did you wait till now?
Yeah,
Or something.
You
He
bitch,
says something
or something
fucking
like
lame.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. But he stabs her and leaves her to bleed out. If you were listening since the beginning of this podcast, you know that she's going to reappear in Scream 6, so she lives.
Yeah.
But we don't know
But we
that
don't know
as
that.
the audience.
This movie ends with us assuming, at least I
She's
assumed
dead.
that she was dead.
Charlie's Ghostface.
Yep. And he's got.
He goes in and he starts talking to Sydney or
He
whatever.
like grabs Sydney. Yeah.
Yep. And Sydney calls Dewey. She tries to find Jill. And then she gets confronted by Charlie, and then there's a second ghost face also that comes out.
Uh-oh.
Who could it be? Ghostface takes off their
Ghostface
mask.
looks a little shorter.
This Ghostface takes off their mask, and it's Jill. And Jill has been planning the whole thing because she's jealous. Her motive is that she's jealous of Sydney because Sydney that's
got
all
all the
anybody ever
attention.
talks about. Yep.
The
And
whole
she
family,
wants
everything's
to
about
be-
Sydney.
She wants to be internet famous. She wants to be an influencer.
She really does.
And so she's going to say basically the same thing happened to her that happened to Sydney. And she's going to be the survivor. And she's going to fucking be famous. So she's going to kill Sydney.
And the plan
She's
is to
gonna
pin it
frame
all
it
on her
on-
boyfriend, Trevor, who they've got tied up in the closet.
Yep. So
Very similar to
she-
part one again, but now
Yep.
he's kind of in the father role.
roll. And she kills Trevor. She shoots him.
She shoots him in the dick.
She's
She's like, I'm not the kind of girl you cheat on, motherfucker, or something like that. Then shoots him in the dick, and he's like, oh, my balls, I need those. Ah! And then she shoots him in the head.
Yep.
Pretty fucked up.
Yeah. She ends up killing Charlie
Yeah, because
because
he's
she
like,
says,
only in this version, the guy gets
Well,
the girl. And she's like, well,
Jill says something. Charlie says something about it being like Billy and Stu.
yeah.
And then Sydney goes, "Oh, well, Charlie, you're Stu, and Stu doesn't live." And so Jill kills him, and she's like, she's right.
Yeah,
I
she's
gotta
like,
go
you know what
solo
people
on this
really
one.
like is a soul survivor.
Yep. So she kills Charlie, and then she stabs Sydney. Seemingly killing
in
her.
the belly, and she's like bleeding pretty profusely.
Yep. And then she proceeds to have this really cool scene where she goes batshit crazy and she stabs herself.
She kicks
rips
her
her
own
own
ass,
hair out,
Scratches her face with a dead guy's hand.
Yep.
Wipes the
And
gun
throws
clean.
herself through a table.
Yeah,
Smashes her head
getting
into
all
a
fucked up
picture. And then she lays down and passes out right next to Sydney, kind of the same pose.
and kind of holding her hand.
The police arrive. And the next thing you know, Jill wakes up in the hospital to Dewey
Well, and
saying,
they're wheeling
hey,
her as they're like wheeling her like into the ambulance. There's reporters and all these people around. They're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, Jill."
Yeah.
So, and she's kind of almost got like a half smile, like she's really
Yep.
enjoying the attention.
She wakes up in the hospital, and Dewey's like, Jill, everything's going to be okay. You did great. You're going to survive, blah, 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 blah. And Jill's like, oh, she got stabbed in the shoulder. And she's like, how's your wife doing? And he's like, she's going to survive too. And she goes, good, because I'm hoping she'll help me write my book.
Yeah, we got a lot in
We
common.
we have matching stab wounds. And he's like, that's funny. Well, get some rest. And, oh, just so you know, Sydney looks like she's going to make it too. She's in ICU.
Yeah, and she's like, what? But she's dead. I saw her die. He's like, no, Sydney's tough.
Yep. So Dewey leaves and he goes to Gail's room. And then Jill's like, what the fuck? And she rips out all of her
Yeah, I
shit
gotta finish this shit.
and goes hobbling down to Sydney's room. Well, meanwhile, Dewey's talking to Gail and he tells her the story that Jill said, like, oh, you got matching stab wounds. And Gail goes, how did she know I got stabbed in the shoulder?
And he goes, what?
Dun, dun, dun. So he runs down. So Sydney gets woken up by Jill.
Yeah, it's like, why won't you just fucking die?
Yep. And so they have a moment.
They
and
have a
then
fight. And I was thinking about Sydney. Like, this fight had to hurt.
Oh,
Like,
God. She
just got
punches her,
stabbed,
like, in the
and she's
stitches.
like digging her knee like into her stab wound.
Yeah.
It's like,
She even
oh.
says, like, how's those stitches? And she's,
Yeah.
like, just going fucking batshit crazy on her. Dewey comes in. I think Marley Shelton. Oh, does Marley Shelton come in
Dewey
yet?
comes in first. And
Oh,
then,
Dewey comes in first. And
she fucking beats the shit out of him with a bedpan. It
metal bedpan.
would have
So
been
he
good if there was a
passes
turd
out.
in it.
Sydney's all, that was
Sorry, I
mine.
had to go.
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
Big ass log. It's like a big turd. It's like, well, I had a big lunch. It's hanging out the bowl. You beached it. But yeah, she knocks. Dewey's knocked out.
Dewey out.
And then this is
Yep.
where Marley
Gail
Shelton,
comes.
Hicks.
Well,
Gail comes in
first.
first. That's right.
Yep. And Jill is going to say something, and she's going to shoot Gail, but this is where Deputy Hicks comes in and
She like dives through the door and
saves Gail. So they kind of reconcile their relationship then, right? Like they don't hate each other. So she saves Gail.
But Jill's got Dewey now, and she still has the gun, and she's like, "Hey, cop, throw your gun out here. I'm gonna fucking kill Dewey." And Gail's like, "Do it."
So Deputy Hicks stands up, and Jill shoots her.
Yep.
She falls down
right in the chest.
And she's like, "Come out here, Gail." And so Gail stands up, and she's like, "Wait." And they talk or whatever. Well, meanwhile,
she goes, "Get your skinny ass out here."
Yeah, which I thought was really weird because it's like, Emma
She's pretty
Roberts
petite, too.
is like about this big around,
Yeah.
you know. She's smaller than Courtney Cox. But Sydney is behind Jill, and she sees the fucking defibrillators.
Yeah, and she grabs
and
that shit.
she's like, she starts it up. Pew! Gets that like high squeaking sound, and she grabs them, and she's waiting for it to like get to the charge.
Right.
And Gail goes, "Hey, Jill, before you do this, can I just say one more thing?" And she goes, "Oh, are you going to plead for your life?" And she goes, "No, I just have one thing to say. Clear." And then she's like, "Huh?
Clear?"
She puts the
Sydney pops up. "Yeah, clear, bitch," or something
she
like
puts
that.
the paddles on her head and fries her.
Yeah, that can't feel good.
Dewey wakes up. Deputy Hicks wakes up. Deputy Hicks was wearing a bulletproof vest,
Good
so
for
she's
her.
okay. And then somebody says something like, "Oh, they always come from behind. They're always behind you." And Sydney goes, "Yeah, they are." And she turns around just in time to catch Jill and shoots
Yeah,
Jill.
she's got a shard of glass that she's going to stab her with, and she shoots her.
Outside of the hospital, unbeknownst to all the reporters out there, they're calling Jill a hero,
Yeah.
and that she's like a soul survivor or whatever.
Yep, I think they say
But-
like an American hero right out of the movies.
Yep. And then cut to
The end.
black. The end. All right. So I like this movie. I really do like this movie a lot, actually. It's a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite Scream movies.
Right.
I already said like 2 and 3 kind of don't even really pay attention to, although 2 is not that bad. If 1 is the best, I think 5 is number 2. And then 4 is number 3 for me so far.
I'm probably 4 and 5 are pretty close for me, but I'm probably 5 over 4 as well.
Yeah, I think it's just a lot of fun. I think this movie is more, dare I say, believable.
The motive,
than maybe
like,
some
it's
of the
fucked up, but like, is it? Like, I mean, there's people. I mean, the whole internet famous thing. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, even more so now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think it was really well acted. I thought all the kids did a good part. I thought there were some characters that weren't totally fleshed out. Like the Trevor character was kind of meh. Like he just
was
pops
kind of
in and out.
boring and just weird and very unemotional.
I thought it was well written. It wasn't too cheesy. But why is it, David, that all these Scream fucking movies
Gotta do the
are
two
all
killer thing.
about? They're all about the movies within the movies.
Yeah,
They're all about somebody being so obsessed with the stab movies. Like, I understand that wasn't Jill's motive, but it was Charlie's. And then they got Robbie. And then
and that's going to come back in part 5.
in part 5, it's like they're both just obsessed with the
Mm-hmm.
movies because they're like, they're not treating the movie series right, so I'm going to start it all over again. With a requel. This one was about sequel or about remakes or whatever. And then the part 3 was them actually making the fucking movie. And in part 2 was about sequels. It's all about movies. I get it. I get that's what the original one was about. Kind of, to a certain extent, but not really. Like, they think they've taken it almost too far.
Right. With
the
the
other thing that-
self-referential stuff.
Yeah. The other thing that I hate about Scream, okay, about Ghostface in particular, and I like the Scream movies, don't get me wrong, they're a lot of fun. But at least with like Michael Myers, it's always Michael Myers under the mask. It's like Michael Myers.
It's a person. Like, and it's the same person. Yeah.
It's the same person. Freddy is always Freddy. Jason, with the exception of part 5, is always Jason. So, and that's not believable by any stretch of the imagination. They're all supernatural.
Yeah, but it creates
I guess-
continuity.
Yeah. This one, it's always New killers just donning the same old mask. And they're always surrounding Sydney, and they're always attacking her and her friends. At what point does the fucking FBI get involved and go, hey, wherever this bitch goes,
Yeah, you're the Grim
somebody
Reaper.
dresses up in a ghost face mask and kills
Kirby
them.
was right.
And how fucked up is it that after 15 years and now 4 separate instances where multiple people have died, they're still selling the fucking Ghostface costume for people to purchase. Like,
Yeah,
can I go down to the store and buy a Jeffrey Dahmer costume?
Right.
That'd be in pretty bad taste.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
All that being
Exploitation.
said, exploitation, David. That being said, I'm going to give this movie 3 Pamela Voorhees Heads.
Yeah, I agree with pretty much everything you said. This is probably my 3rd favorite movie of the franchise, right up there with Part 5, which we haven't done yet. I mean, it's not nearly as good as the first one, but I think it is better than 2 and 3. And I think I give the first one like a 4.5 or something. I love the first one, and that one is, in my opinion, way above all of them. But I really like this one. To your point, I think it's well acted. There's some good gore, some good kills. It's not scary, but none of the Scream movies really are anyway.
Well, Part 5, I think, got me a couple times. I think Part 5 was pretty intense.
Yeah. My biggest gripe is like the whole 2 killer thing. You know, Part 3, they got away from it. I wish that this series was a little bit more random with that stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, now it's a twist that you come to expect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I remember the first time I saw this movie, when I saw Charlie, I think it's Charlie, when he was tied up outside, I was like, he's one of them. I knew it was like, there's going to be 2, and this is a trick, and when they go, whoever goes out there to get him is going to die, and that's kind of what happened. So I thought it was a little bit predictable, and I think it's kind of become a cliche.
When you first saw it, did you realize that Jill was the other killer?
No, and which leads me to one of the things I really like about this movie is I think that twist is really cool, because this is also the first time that Ghostface was a woman, and I like. No.
Part 2. Ghostface in Part 2.
All right, sorry. But
it's the first time it was a young woman.
One of my gripes, I think, when we talked about Part 2 was, and it's funny that I forgot.
They shoehorned.
That she was the killer, because she's barely even in the fucking movie, and that bothered the shit out of me.
They shoehorn her character in there,
and she's such a minor character and an afterthought. To make her like one of the killers, I thought was super lame.
Not to spend too much time on Part 2, but I was just watching it the other day. It was on TV, and Laurie Metcalf plays Billy's mom.
Yeah,
and she is a pretty well-known actress, and when she comes out in that role, I remember seeing that movie going, why the fuck is she in this little role? Something's not right here. And then, of course, it comes out at the end. Yeah. But, yeah, you're right. She's only in like 2 scenes before the final scene.
Right. Yeah, so I thought it worked a lot better in this one. I'm going to go... I'm between a 3 and a 3.5 on this one. But after watching it again yesterday, some of the flaws stuck out a little bit more. So I'm going to go 3 as well.
Well, that puts us at an overall rating of a 3. It's a lot easier than saying 3.25.
Makes the math easier.
But, I mean, how long can we go? I mean, I'm happy they're making Scream 6. Don't get me wrong. They can keep going for forever. But how long can we go with just copycat killer, copycat killer, copycat killer?
Yeah. That's one thing I'm excited about 6. At least we're getting a change of scenery. Like, yeah, it's been done before, like the whole New York thing. But, I don't know. Maybe it's injecting...
Wouldn't it be interesting... Here's a way to go. I mean, I don't know how they could do it. I'd have to really think about this, and this is the first time I'm saying this out loud, so forgive me if it sounds really stupid, but wouldn't it be cool to just take it to a different setting, maybe even a different country, without the original characters, and have it be a new set?
Like a whole different thing? Yeah.
And maybe not Ghostface, but still Scream. Right? Maybe it's a different mask that they wear. I know that would upset a lot of people because Ghostface is my favorite killer. Ghostface isn't a person. Ghostface is a costume.
It's a fictional character.
All right? Like, well, yeah. It's like saying, like, oh, you can say Jason. Okay, he's my favorite, slasher villain.
Ghostface isn't even a person. He's Billy Loomis. He's all these other people.
He's multiple people.
He's a person in a costume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So which one? Which Ghostface is your favorite? Oh, well, just the character Ghostface. No, you like the idea of the costume.
Right.
So that would piss off a lot of people, but if you changed it. But I don't know, maybe take it to a different setting with all new different people, all new different kids, all new different country.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let's go to
Give 'em
Canada.
all, yeah,
Let's
or
go to
give 'em all
fucking
Cockney
France.
accents.
Yeah. Hello. I'm Ghostface. I am.
Oh, I'm
You
stabbed
like-
in it. Oh,
You like scary movies, don't you?
all right, stab you.
I'll stab you right in the wee willy winky, I whiz. I don't know. Anyway, that's it. That's it for today, David. I'm all spent.
I'm done.
I'm done. But I think this was very good for me to do this today because I got all my.
Was it
I'm not
cathartic?
angry anymore.
Yeah.
I talked
Good.
to my really good friend. I talked about a pretty good movie. I got all the hate off of my
all
chest,
out.
and now I have nothing but love to
Your
give
heart,
for the rest
your
of the day.
grinchy heart just grew three sizes today.
Well, let's not go that far, David. If you have anything that you hate and you really want to tell me, I mean, unless it's me, and if you do hate me, by all means, send me a message. I'll gladly read it on air. But if you have anything you want to say, you can contact us. How can they contact us, David?
Yeah, on Twitter, Facebook, the Slasher app, TikTok, YouTube, Hive. Just search the Swearwolves on all those platforms. On Instagram, search the Swearwolves podcast. You can go to our website, theswearwolves.com. You can email us at contact@theswearwolves.com. Or you can leave us a voicemail at 623-282-1851.
So for the Swearwolves this week, I'm Brett.
I'm David.
I may hate a lot of things, but I love you.
All right, back at you, buddy.